It's Jenny McGarvey, and I'm here with you today to share how I am functionally planning in my Happy Planner. As you can see, I have both sets of the stamps from the Happy Planner pictured right here. There are 4 sheets altogether. 2 come in each package. I'm also going to be using my Versafine ink and a round stamp block from Sweet Stamp Shop. Now, I recommend that you use a stamp block. The size and the shape is up to you. However, I do recommend getting one the closest in size to the stamps that you're actually going to use. If you're going to use only tiny stamps, get a tiny stamp block. It'll work best for you. Now I'm going to remove the pages of my Happy Planner. You will get the best results on a flat, clean surface. Now I'm going to take the stamps off of the clear backing and place them on the acrylic block. Now once I've done that, I'm going to rub the stamping surface over the top of my hand. That will help prep the stamp that is acrylic like these Happy Planner stamps are. Now, I did not transfer all the ink. That is user error. That is not something that's wrong with the stamp. I didn't provide firm pressure throughout the block, and then I am going to share all of these things with you because I want to make sure that you understand the difference between user error, that I have a lot, and the difference between an error with the actual stamp. Now, you did see that I cleaned that stamp off with a baby wipe, and we'll talk about that a little bit more in the future of this video. Now you see all the ink right there on the stamp, and I'm going to wipe the ink that I got on the stamping block off just so that I don't transfer that in any mistake. Now I'm going to use this dual brush pen from Tombow to do all of my writing today. I'm using the fine tip for the text, and then I will use the brush end at the end of this video to notate the weekend. I love the color of this one. I'm super excited about it, and I love that the way that these write, and I love the way that they look in my planner. Now I'm going to take out this huge block. It does not work on my block. So I'm going to transfer it to a different size one that's ever so slightly larger, and then prep the stamp by rubbing it over the top of my hand. Now I end up with ink all over my fingers. Oh my goodness, I need to wipe that off so I don't transfer the ink to the pages. It will totally happen. Now I'm going to apply lots of ink to the stamp, but not too much. You don't want to over ink. I'm going to stamp firmly all over the design so that I get the ink transferred to the paper, and voila, it turns out great. I do happen to love that particular stamp. I think it is really eye-catching and provides a lot of room to write. Now just this tiny little star, I did prep it a little bit first by rubbing it on my hand, and then I just simply wrote it there for a little bullet point and then wrote my activity. Now I'm going to do the exact same thing again, and that's what's really cool about the bigger stamp is that I can write multiple activities inside of that box, or a list, or the ideas really go on, and it's completely up to you. Now you can see that it is key to prep the stamps. Rub them over the top of your hand. I have seen people say, oh, use a nail file. Do not use a nail file, okay? Rub it over the top of your hand. You won't accidentally damage the stamp, and it will still stamp very well by just doing this one simple trick. Now I've pulled out the little clipboard, and I'm inking it up, getting lots of ink on there, but not too much. As you can see, it's all well covered. I'm going to place it on the paper and then provide firm pressure all over the surface. If you miss a spot, you can go back and just replace it there. You'll see me do it a couple of times throughout this video. But if you just do it the first time, giving good pressure throughout the whole stamp, you'll get there. Now I'm going to ink up this one right here and put it down right there on that little divider. It's so cute with the contrast between the pink and the black. I really do love it. Now I'm going to pull out this What's for Dinner stamp. I know it's a really popular one. I'm going to use it in a slightly unconventional way. I'm going to pull out some of the Mambi Happy Planner washi tape and use that for some masking. I'm going to cover the part of the stamp that I don't want with the washi tape. Now that required 2 different strips of it. Now the part that's left, I'm going to prep it by rubbing it all over the top of my hand and then ink that bad boy right up. So it's all inked up, it's got lots of ink, it's covering the surface. Then I'm going to pull off the washi tape. Then I will put the ink down on the stamp down on the paper, press firmly with even pressure, and voila! Now, I'm also going to run a slight little line of washi tape underneath it. I just wanted that added little pop right there with the what's for dinner, but you could do it any way that you wanted to. Just make sure that you get enough ink on the stamp, you've primed it, and then you give even pressure. Now this is another Tombow brush pen, and this has the hard tip, and I love using it in my planner. It doesn't bleed, it's a really good size, and it just turns out really beautifully. I will link all of these products in the description underneath this video. Now, also, I get lots of requests to do lettering videos. I am not qualified to do that. I don't have any training whatsoever. I have simply watched short little videos on Instagram and looked at what other professional letterers have created. And I think it has worked fine for me in my own personal lettering, but I'm definitely not qualified to teach you how to letter. But lots of people are, so you should definitely seek them out. Now I just stamped down another little list, my to-do list for Wednesday. The little hearts are so cute, am I right? Now I am also going to put at the very top this super cute little don't forget. It's kind of fun to see how I'm going to play with it a little bit, see how I'm going to get that down. But in the end, I decided to go straight forward and then use that dual brush pen just to write the activity. I even drew in a little bow, feeling a little saucy, but don't diminish the idea of doing your own hand doodling as well inside your pages. Now I have another stamp. I'm going to prime it by rubbing it over the top of my hand, giving it a good coverage right there with the priming, and then the good ink, stamping it all over, and then just wiping it off with the baby wipe. Do not scrub. You could potentially damage the scrubs. Just wipe it gently. All you want to do is remove the ink so it doesn't transfer onto something else. The ink isn't harming your stamp. It's not bad for your stamp. You simply don't want the old ink to transfer to a different project or to your hands or to your workspace. Now, as you can see, I've pulled out another stamp. I've primed it yet again, and I'm inking it up with the Versafine ink. Now, I'm going to press firmly, but not too hard, and all over. And I'm just using it as the bullet point for this particular day, and then writing in the information with the fine tip from the Tombow dual brush pen. Now again, I'm going to use that big box, but I'm not going to use the whole thing, so let me show you how. So I've put down a little bit of washi tape, and it's going to act as a mask. Now I've put ink on the part of the stamp that I want to use. Now I'm going to stamp that area and then pull it up. Now I'll remove the washi tape. Now as you can see, ink only where I want it. I didn't use the entire stamp, I only used a portion of it and created the exact size box that would work for me. It's a really good way to use your stamps how you need them to be and give them a little bit more flexibility in terms of size and all of those different things. Now again, I'm going to do another to-do list, inking it up after I prepped it and wiping the extra ink off the block so that I don't transfer them in any way, because sometimes you drop it or your hand kind of slips a little bit and then extra ink ends up on your page. What a bummer. Now I have prepped the stamp. I am inking it up, making sure it's got good coverage, and then wiping it off. Now, let me just say that I have left in this video all of my mistakes. I would say that 90% of them are user error. I've been stamping for a really long time, and the key here is to know what works and what doesn't work for you, and to also know the pitfalls of what you're getting yourself into. Now you can see I'm using the fine tip to just do a little bit of special hand lettering for the AP test. It's nothing that's particularly fancy. I simply added that extra line for the downstrokes. However, it really makes it stand out and makes it feel a little bit more special, even though it was the same pen that I've used for all of the rest of my text, and also it's not fancy. It's not brush lettering or anything like that. Now I've prepped the stamp, I've gotten lots of nice ink on it, and I'm going to go ahead and stamp it. Now you see when I put it down, I'm going to press it firmly, but then also give it make sure I've got a nice even pressure over the entire stamped area. It looks so cute there on that Friday, and because I don't have any plans, I have lots of room to write different lists and all kinds of different activities. Now I'm using this one simple arrow and turning the direction in 3 different ways just to add a little bit of fun and interest to make it feel a little bit more playful. If you've watched any of my videos before, you know that I really enjoy things being just a little bit more fun. I don't want them to all look the same or be the same. Now, as you can see, I've got yet another stamp. There's a lot of really functional stamps in these packages. Now look at this, user error. I did not get ink all over. And look at that, from my hand, I transferred some ink onto the paper. Now I tried to fix it, didn't work. Okay, so I have an idea. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get to my stash of washi, and I'm going to pull out a few different rolls, including black with some white script that's right here, and then also a pink with some white floral. Now the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to roll out this washi and cover all the way to the edge that snafu, and then use my X-Acto knife to trim it. There's lots of ways to trim up washi. Find the way that works best for you. I use an X-Acto knife because I have one in my craft stash, but you don't have to do that. Now you can still see the ink through that pink. So what I've decided is that I'm going to also layer on top of it just a little bit of the black washi because it's super cute, and then look at that. I cannot see the ink anymore. Now let's be clear, that was user error. That was not something wrong with the stamp. I wasn't paying good attention. I did not make sure to apply firm pressure over the entire surface, and I ended up with a little bit of a mistake. Now here I'm going to stamp this grocery list stamp, and you'll see if you look closely that the Y has a little bit of a problem. Right next to the Y on the stamp there's just a little bit of extra stamped material on there, and that didn't allow that Y to press up on the paper the way that I would have liked. So all I did was I trimmed that little tiny portion with the excess acrylic off of my stamp. In the future, it'll work just fine. That's that tiny, tiny percentage that is not user error and that there was something wrong with that stamp. It happens in the manufacturing of stamps, and in this case, absolutely not a big deal. I simply trimmed it off, making sure to stay far away from the edge, and it turned out fine. Now, as you can see here, I didn't get all the ink. I'm showing you, look, it's still on that W. And so I just re-stamped it, and it worked great. Again, user error. There's nothing wrong with the stamps. I just wasn't being careful enough, and I did not get firm pressure over the entire portion of the stamp, which is very easy to do. It's not hard to get the pressure right. You just have to be paying attention, that's all. And sometimes I get a little distracted by what I'm going to do next or what else is going on or those types of things. Now, as you can see, I'm stamping 2 bullet points that are very simple on Saturday, and I'm going to use the dual brush pen to write all of the necessary information right below there. I'm still loving this color, especially paired with the yellow. It's just so fun. Now, as you can see, the bullets work great. They definitely draw attention to the activity, and I don't really need anything more complicated than that. Now I'm basically finished with the function of this layout, so I'm thinking, what can I add for decoration that's not complicated and won't really take away from the overall function of this layout? Well, I decided to add a little bit of washi tape. Here I've run some vertically in that bottom box that I don't have anything listed. If I need to add anything in the future, there's still plenty of room to do it with a pen, or if I wanted to add a sticker, I could layer it on top of the washi. Now I'm going to do the same thing up at the top, putting the washi straight up flush underneath the days of the week where it says Monday, Tuesday, that type of thing, and then trimming with my X-Acto knife. Now the last thing that I want to do is take the brush end of the Tombow pen and just write out weekend in script. And then that's it. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching my video. I really do appreciate it. If you have any questions, leave it in the comment box below and I will do my very best to get back to you. Thank you so much, and make it a great day.